So, surprise, surprise, Donald Trump is trying to get around the Senate confirmation hearing process, which is Article 2, Section 2 of our Constitution, in case you were not aware, which 99% of Americans aren't aware of, because 99% of Americans have no fucking idea what's actually in the Constitution. However, Article 2, Section 2 was specifically written to separate the powers, the executive branch from the Congress, to avoid acts, quote unquote, of tyranny by the President of the United States, i.e., appointing people to high-level positions in government purely for profit gain or to pay back a favor. Now, obviously, the easiest way for Donald Trump to accomplish this and realize he still hasn't been inaugurated is simply to get the Senate to agree for him to use the recess provision in Article 2, Section 2, which states that if the Senate is incapable of forming for a 10-day period as an emergency measure, he may appoint without nomination approval or Senate approval. This is a history lesson, it's kind of lengthy. But it's pretty obvious that Donald's statement a few months ago about how he only wanted to be dictator for a day is a complete bullshit. Donald Trump wants to be dictator until he dies. And this is just one. And remember, we're only a couple weeks from the election. This is just one of his attempts to go about doing that. I'm not going to spend time right now on all of his nominees for these most critical positions in our national government that takes care of the wealth and health and well-being of its citizenry, i.e. us, the people, because they're just absurd and ludicrous. More time for that in my podcast. But there's a little history lesson for you as to why Donald Trump is trying an in-run around the Senate and why the Senate is actively considering this, because then it lets them off the hook for all of his illegitimate appointments.